Most brands are about to get left behind and they don't even realize it yet. If you want to be in the top 1% by 2026, you need to know what's changing and exactly how to adapt. So I'm going to show you the full step-by-step guide to getting ahead of nearly every brand out there before it's too late. And first, let me show you what I call the 2026 trap that most brands will get stuck in this year, so you don't have to. Here's how it works. So the way most brands have been taught to grow is by using winning products. And these are just products that perform better than the average. Now, let me show you how this works on a graph. So if we've got drops here down the bottom, so across time, and here you have your revenue, we're just going to put dollar signs. The winning product method on a graph looks something like this, where you have really good drops, some not so good, and it kind of goes up and down like this. And this leads your brand to be extremely unpredictable. And what it means is that most brands in these down periods have to go to ads and their profits are destroyed. But how do I know this? Well, it's because it's happened to many of my clients before we start working together. Namely, recently, I worked with the brand Steezy and he had a Black Friday drop coming up, but it didn't go nearly as well as he expected. In fact, because the product wasn't exactly the right market fit, he sold half as many units as he was expecting on his Black Friday release. And it was all because he didn't actually build a community of customers. And so that's why he came to me for help. And so you don't find yourself in the same position. Now, I'm going to show you the new playbook that I'll be implementing with Steezy and what I already have implemented with over 100 different clothing brands. And it's called the community launchpad. Let me show you how it works. So the old way of doing a product release was that you would create a product, again, a winning product in this case, and then you would think about your marketing before you drop it, you release, okay? We've already spoken about the issues of doing it in this way because it leads you to relying on creating winning products, and if it doesn't work, which it's bound to not work sometimes, you're just left with ads. So let me show you the new way, which is the community launchpad way, where we actually flip this whole system, where instead we start with the marketing. So how is your community going to receive the product? And then you go to create the product and then you drop. And it's with this same method that I've helped clients like Blues and Greens go from living in his mum's basement and building his brand to quitting his job in just 10 months, now managing a team of over 20 different people. And so there are 3 different stages to implementing this new drop strategy that actually builds your community into your own brand. And the first one is going to show you how to create a marketing plan that actually builds a community. And to make this concept really simple to understand, we're going to look at the brand by Hassana, which is a London-based modesty fashion brand. So just scrolling through, we can see that there's some color themes going on. We get a lot of brown at the top, and we keep scrolling down, and as the season changes, we're now, looks like we've got some more greens. Maybe we're in summer, and then we go to some pinks and blues. But this is not just colors. That's not what this video is about, how to color theme your Instagram page. What they're really showing us is that every different campaign or set of posts that they're sharing on their page, it's a different marketing theme. So for winter, they have this theme on the farm here. And then for summer, they're out here at a picnic. And then for spring, we see they're out here on the water and maybe it's a boat trip in Europe. And the reason they do this is because it's not just about the clothing that they sell anymore. It's actually about who wears the clothing and what do they do and where do they go and what's the life that they live when they wear the clothing. If you can get to selling that, your brand suddenly becomes highly desirable to me because I don't just want to wear something that looks cool. I want to live the lifestyle that goes along with it. And so if you want to create a marketing plan for your next drop that isn't just making a cool product look good, but is actually building your community, then the first thing you need to do is figure out who your customer is, where they wear your brand, and then what they do there. So let's start with the first one. Who is your customer? And so the example that we've got here is a modesty fashion brand. And so their customer is this modest woman who loves to hang out with the girls. It's super hyper focused. And to do this for your own brand, ask yourself the question, who is someone I know in real life that embodies the lifestyle I'm trying to sell through my brand? So to make this easy, I'm actually just going to do this along with you. I'm going to create a concept brand, something that I'm making up on the spot so I can show you how these steps work in real time. And so if I were to answer this question about who embodies the lifestyle of my brand, then I would say that it's someone that lives in the city, that loves running. They're a young adult. They're serious about fitness and about community. And they're probably also a business owner. And so already I know lots of my friends that come to my mind. Maybe that's you or someone that you know. And then for step 2, we have to figure out where they actually wear your brand. So coming back to this women's modesty brand as an example, we can see that in summer, these girls are wearing the clothes at a picnic. And then in autumn, it's more like on a farm, maybe it's an Airbnb, a girls trip. And so for considering the question, where do your people wear your brand? It's more about thinking in terms of spring, summer, fall, and winter. So for example, my running brand in spring, it might look like wearing my products, doing morning runs in the city and going to coffee with friends afterwards. And in summer, it's going to be on Bondi Beach, going to run clubs in Sydney. In fall, I'm going to say it's going to be marathon running training. It's getting a bit cold, but it's not too cold, still enough to be outside. And in winter, it's going to be them training up in the snowy mountains or going on a camping trip, a bit rural with their friends and doing trail runs. So whichever season you're selling clothing in, you're not just selling a product. You're actually showing me, where does this product exist in the real world and the real life that I live as someone that is a target customer for your community that you're building? And the final question we need to answer is, what do your customers do there? So let me pull out an example from this modesty brand, particularly from the spring collection that they did, where the girls are having a picnic. And so just by watching the video, some of the specific activities we can see or even imagine that they might do here is prepare food. They're definitely setting up the picnic, and here they are reading books. So all you're doing is breaking down a larger storyline or theme or situation that's seasonal into smaller activities that you could actually imagine your customer doing in that place while wearing your product for that campaign. And if you get really stuck here, a way to make it simple is thinking about these 3 things: preparation, transportation, and then arrival, what they do when they get there. And so again, for my running brand, I'm just going to pick any of the settings from before. So let's pick the summer one, Bondi Beach, right? It's a beach running collection. For the preparation, if they're going to the beach, I'm thinking these runners are probably needing to pick an outfit out before they go and set up the night before, because it's going to be a long day of running. And then transportation, how are they going to get there? Well, they could bike, but I'm saying for summer, maybe they went on a trip with all their buddies. And so it's probably like they hired e-bikes because they're entrepreneurs and they got a bit of money to do that too. And then upon arrival, they're doing simple things like running with their friends and going to local cafes by the beach. But we haven't actually made any content yet. We've just kind of laid the foundation. So now I'm going to show you how to take the who, the what, and the where and turn it into real content that you can start posting for whatever season and campaign that you're doing that actually builds your community. And step 1 of this process is to find high performing content. Now, you don't want to be just making guesses about what content to make, because that's just going to leave you in the dirt. There's brands that have been making content much longer than you that have already found what works. And so what you're going to do is you're going to find high performing content based on outliers from other brands. An outlier being any content that performs better than usual. For example, I found this video for my running brand that I could recreate. It says, POV, you found the most incredible running track. And then it's just a simple video of him running down into the sunset or the sunrise. And so if we're still talking about my Bondi Beach collection, then we could just have a group of the friends running by the beach of a morning at sunrise. That's pretty easy to do. And then we could just film a video, turn around, face them while they're running, and then show the view. And then add text, literally the same text in post-production. We just say, POV, you've found the most incredible running track. And it still applies. And this video got 28,000 likes. Now, if I got even a fraction of that, that would be all these eyes seeing my product for my summer collection, and probably the right kind of people that also appreciate running. We're getting into their algorithm, and then we're going to sell them the product. And the way that you do this for yourself is by breaking down your who, where, and what from before that we defined into key terms that you can search on Instagram. Instagram. So let me explain. I might search something like beach running because that relates to the idea of the seasonal campaign and also the niche of my brand. And I can see here, it's already popped up with a key term search that's obviously popular that people have searched in the past. And it's going to give me results of a bunch of high performing content of runners by the beach. And that's exactly what I did to find the previous video that I showed you. I just literally found any of these and look, this is a similar one. I could use this one equally and you just apply it to your brand. And once we've done that, we can copy the link and we can put it into a table that looks something like this. We've got the link, the title, the hook, the notes, category, caption, views, likes, and personalization. Okay, so I just paste the link in there and I'm going to give it a title. So we'll call it something like beach run. And the hook, POV, you found the most incredible running track. So now I know when I recreate this, I'm just going to copy that text and use it for my own. And then for the notes, I'll just write something simple like it's going to be text plus a video of the beach view. Category, it's going to be an on-screen text video. And you can add all these types of things here afterwards. The personalization in this case is going to be like wearing my products. And what I'll also say is running with a group. I know they didn't have that in the original video, but that's something that I would like to add because I feel like it relates more to my brand and its community building values. And then you just repeat step 1 and 2. So find more high performing content and then add it to the table. And then when you actually go to create the content for your campaign, then this is going to be what you refer to. And this is how you make it go viral. Now, you will notice that the content that we're posting so far is not really product focused. It's more to do with the lifestyle around the specific campaign where your customers wear your products and what they do, which is awesome because that has the most viral potential in terms of content. But now we need to actually add your products into the mix so that you have something to sell. And at the end of the day, you can monetize this audience that you're building. So now I'm going to show you stage 2 where we create products for your specific campaign. Again, notice that we flip around the order. We do the marketing first and then the product second. So here's how this works. So that customers don't buy your products because you don't solve any real problems that they have. So looking good, that's not really a problem. You're going to pick any of the points you wrote down before about where your customers wear your products in spring, summer, fall, or winter. And you're just going to choose the season that makes the most sense for whatever drop you're preparing for. And you're going to ask a simple question, and it's what would my customers wear in that situation or scenario? So it's not that you're creating the products first and trying to fit the marketing around it. You create the marketing and the world and the campaign first, and then you create products according to that scenario. When the Modesty brand was creating their summer collection, they would have asked something along the lines of, what would a modest woman wear to a summer picnic with her girlfriends? And what they came up with was really exceptional. It was something like this. And the amazing thing is that if you read some of the comments, you can see it's totally on point for what they're looking for at that time. People are saying so good and others saying they love the hijab. And that's the difference. You're not trying to come up with a winning product and then seeing how can I market this, but you're starting with the marketing and then on the back end of that, figuring out what's going to win in this scenario. And now you can move on to stage 3, which is where we work out how to market your drop and incorporate your products into this content strategy. So again, let's head back to the iPad. I'm going to show you the old way of marketing your products for a drop and then the new way. Okay. So the old way favored this sellout. That was kind of like the crown jewels. If you can sell out in very little time, then you've absolutely made it as a clothing brand. And for that reason, if the drop is over here, then they have this really long time for marketing, really long lead up, and then the actual sellout, it all goes quickly. But here's the truth. This is getting worn out. You see brands doing this less and less because customers have caught on to the fact that these companies are just in it to get impulse buys. And I don't think it's as attractive as it once was, maybe in the days of Supreme or even when Cortez started. But more recently, larger brands have been flipping the strategy where they do very little marketing in the beginning. So they drop all the way over here, but they have a very long tail end before they sell out. And this is where all the marketing happens. It's after they drop. There's a few reasons they do it this way. First of all, they can actually sell more products and make more money as a brand by doing it like this. Because instead of just selling 100 products in one day, they now, over the span of an entire season, they get to sell 500 because it's not so limited. Secondly, they realize that on social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, people aren't really planning ahead too far. If they see something that they like, they want to buy it here and now. And so if you're marketing your drop or for something that's not releasing until here and you're marketing it all the way over here, you're saying, hey, you need to wait 2 weeks. Well, they will have forgotten about you by then. Whereas if most of your viral content for your drop happens in this time frame, then you can say, hey, it's actually accessible on the website right here and now, so go ahead and buy it. And that's why most brands underestimate how much they should post. So the first key of stage 3 marketing your drop is not to overestimate how long before your drop you should announce. By the end of this 2 or 3 weeks that you announce it, all the hype will be dead because it just fizzles out that quickly on social media. Whereas here, the hype is just beginning here, and that is perfect, exactly what you want. This is why the brand Hassanat announced literally 3 days before they dropped. 3 days. And some of you are doing 14 days or 21 days. And the second key to a successful drop in 2026 is not to underestimate how much content you should post. So back to the women's modesty brand, they posted for 38 days after they launched the drop on an average of 2 to 3 posts per day, which is absolutely insane. Especially when most of you post maybe 2 or 3 times in a week leading up to your drop, let alone in a day. But that shows you what you need to do to move the kind of units that they do. So now I'm going to show you how to actually incorporate your products into the content strategy we started making before for this campaign so that you can actually sell your clothing. The way that you do this is by returning to whatever your campaign that you decided on from before and figure out ways that your product naturally incorporates itself or naturally lives in the world that you've created. So for example, back to my summer running brand, I can think that when someone's getting ready for a run and they're going to go by the beach the next morning, they might lay out their clothes and their shoes on the floor before they go out for their run. Now that is a great underlying concept to create some content from. And using that concept, I can come back to my content research method that I showed you before and add it to my table. Let me show you how. So I'm going to search a keyword that I think relates to this idea of preparing for a run and incorporating my products into this. So let's find something like running outfits or running outfit. Let's see what comes up. Okay, running outfits women, outfit, cold weather. All right, let's just go running outfit. And then if I scroll through, again, I'm going to find a bunch of top performing content that relates to how runners, real runners, have incorporated their products into running in the past. Okay, here's a really simple one. He's got all the different clothing and accessories that he uses laid out on the floor. And then he's got text over them showing you where they come from. Now, this is not from a fashion brand, but that's kind of the whole point. We're trying to find content that fashion brands have never made before. It's just made by real people that actually are in my community and then recreate them for my brand. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to come back to my spreadsheet. I'm going to add it here and I'm going to call it product flat lay. This time the hook is visual. So it's all the products plus text. All right. And we'll call this again an on-screen text video. The personalization in this case is going to be to incorporate my products as well as other brands. Now, you may or may not want to do that, but I think for my brand, especially in the beginning, I'm okay with that because I think it shows the genuine lifestyle. So if there's shoes that my customers might wear from a different brand, I'm going to put them in because I just want it to look like user-generated content, not necessarily branded content. So let's do this for one more post. Maybe I'm going to scroll through again and Let's have a look at this one. Okay, so check it out. Here's another video I found. Restyling summer running clothes for cooler temps. So it's very practical. It's very value focused, how to create a cool style even with running clothes. And she's got a great style. So I could recreate this and just mix in some of my own products from my campaign into the mix. And so using this spreadsheet that I showed you, I can build this out with 30, 40, even 50 pieces of content that I could start posting just a few days before the drop, and then continuing in the month for the rest of the season until I get rid of enough units that it actually becomes profitable and beyond. And then it's a mix of both lifestyle content and product focused content. So I'm actually building a community and not just selling a piece of fabric. But here's the thing, there are some very common mistakes that most brands make when they go out on this journey for themselves. I know this because I've worked with over 350 different brands. So watch this video next where I review 3 real brands that have submitted their pages and show you some of the mistakes that they make so you can avoid them.